Ladies and gentlemen, gather around for a unique look into the world of custom motorcycling. We've gathered some of the industry's top builders and fabricators on this stage to show you their skills live and in person. Watch as they chop, grind, and weld their creations into existence right before your very eyes. Feel free to ask questions at any time directly to your host, Pat Jansen. The doors to the shop are open, so pull up a stool, kick back, and welcome to the Grease and Gears Garage.
And clap. Good job, Mike. Good job. All right, there we go. Ma'am, why didn't you clap? Can I get one clap at it? Ma'am, just clap. It's time to clap. There we go. Okay, we were -1. Now we're all together. All right, I'm Pat Jansen, and I am your host here for Grease and Gears Garage. We're just a bunch of mechanics from around the country, and we come together, and we want to invite you into a garage space so that you can tell what it's like just to spend a little bit of time kind of hanging out and getting to know each other and tell stories and have memories. And we're not going to be drinking up here because we don't do that in shops while we're on stage. At least I don't anymore since Chris banned me from that in Sturgis 2 years ago. So, but what we are going to do is we're going to just be showing you a little slice of what happens in a shop when you're building custom motorcycles. So come on in. Madison, come on over. You can come and visit with us too. How are you? But today we are going to be with the Grease and Gears Garage crew continuing to work on War Pony. So what War Pony is a bike that we started building in Long Beach. It was just a bare frame. And we are assembling that bike, and it's going to ride off the stage in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, that thing's going to ride off the stage in Washington, D.C.
Right off the sunset.
We Facebook Live all of Grease and Gears Garage, so there are people joining us from all over the world right now, literally, that are going to be watching this with you. But if you are interested in anything that we've done in the past, to see what we've done, we've had Chris Richardson from LA Speed Shop House of Machines out in Los Angeles come up and narrow a tank for us. We've had Evan Favaro from New York, lead fabricator for OCC and owner of Speakeasy Motors, come up and actually take an 18-gauge sheet of steel and build a tank from scratch for us for a motorcycle. We've had all kinds of cool stuff going on. And so if you want to see any of that on Facebook, you can go back. It's on motorcycleshows.com, jmpcycles.com, cyclesource.com, or you can go to YouTube and type in Grease and Gears Garage.
How about Pat? He did that all in one breath.
One breath, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a professional.
That man's a good talker.
I'm a good talker. I make noise with my face hole for money. So, but anyway, today we've got Chris and Mark and Xavier.
Special guest
Xavier.
Face hole?
Face hole. That's my face hole.
Is that a technical term?
It's a technical term.
Nice.
It's a medical term for a speaking device of la cabeza, which here in Texas I don't have to translate. I realized after the neighborhood we slept in last night. Hey, ba-dum-bum. This really is. This is an amazing place. I've never been any place. There's, around the country you go places and they'll have things written in English and written in Spanish. Here they just write it in Spanish. They're like, screw you guys.
Dude, the best part about coming to Texas to do anything for motorcycles, I was just talking to some of my buddies from Chopper Supply the other day. And there's so much like community and family that's around the deal here. Like these guys have so much fun together. And I'm talking to them like, my wife really wants to move to Texas, and it's no wonder for the way you guys all are together. And he was like, oh yeah. And I said, you do realize that everyone else in the country is not always just nice to each other and having a good time. Like that's a really special thing between your little crew.
Yeah, I'm from Iowa, so everybody's there. I was born and raised in the South, moved to Iowa 2 years ago. In the South, they say we're nice, and I would always correct people and say, no, we're polite. There's a difference. In Iowa, it's where people are actually nice. It's Iowa nice. So. But War Pony's a bike we're building from scratch. We're going to get this thing going. So everything you see here has been done on stage. And Chris, what are we going to be doing today?
Well, this is a time for us where we're going to start playing a little bit of catch up. Like Pat said, there's 3 weeks left until we have to ride this motorcycle off a stage. And while we did start with a bare frame, and it looks like we have a lot done, we have a lot more to go. So in between shows, we run into our buddies who have shops, and we're like, hey, help us out with this, help us out with that. One such case was we were looking for a solution for our gauge mounts.
You put it on there, now you can't get it off.
It's nice and tight, too. It really is.
Saw that.
So For the gauges for this bike, we started off with the idea that we were going to use this kit that comes from Paco. Makes a nice little two-piece gauge mount. We were going to figure out how to mount that onto our top triple tree. These take the 2 5/8 autometer gauges. It gives you a nice real little look, you know, nice for racing, 1 for RPMs, 1 for mile per hour. There they are. They're expensive. Don't let the size of those gauges fool you. They're pricey. They're like
expensive,
little diamonds.
Nobody would give us these gauges, Chris.
So as you can see, this top mount for those gauges is actually made to fit on the top of a handlebar, and that's not the way that we're using it, and we didn't really know how we were going to mount it. So we went over to Chris's, and Chris was nice enough to spend some time for us and put this thing together. We're going to show you guys how we're going to mount this thing today. But I wanted to start off, the special thing about this creation is the motor that's in it, because it started out as a crazy motor, and we had Danny Fitzmaurice from Zippers take the motor from us all the way back in Long Beach, and he started going through it. And we're going to roll a video real quick and show you where Danny's at with the motor getting started, if we can take a look at that.
Nice. I like it.
Or not.
It could happen.
Oh, he's doing
Video 1. There we go.
Roll sound, cue video.
Okay.
We're doing it.
Maybe not. Covering the crankshaft build, the short block. We're going to do the timing chest with a new cam plate to improve the oil flow. We're going to put some redshift cams in the engine. And of course, we're going to freshen up the cylinders and with a fresh bore. And we're going to CNC port these cylinder heads, and we're going to recap everything and get it all ready for running at the Washington show in February.
All right, so Danny has the motor completely apart. He's actually been working on it, so we're going to check in again at the end of the show. But for now, like I said, the challenge here was to come up with a way to mount these gauge mounts onto our triple tree. This triple tree, along with the whole front end, is from a Suzuki GSXR. We've done a few modifications in the machine shop to get it to work on a Harley frame. But the as I said earlier, that top mount was made for bars. It really wasn't going to lend itself well to this. So we went to our buddy Chris Moose. If we can roll that second video, I'm going to show you guys the machine process to make what he came up for with us in this mount right here. So if we can take video number 2.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Dan Fitzmaurice here from Zippers Performance, and we're working on the Cycle Source 107 twin cam engine. We thought we'd do a little historical perspective on crankszafts relative to the Harley engines, dating back to the 1930s with the old style.
That's all right.
1.25" pin that's in
this is actually a good tutorial too about bottom ends and
Evos.
Getting that stuff together from Danny, so we'll watch that for a minute.
We used to race with this stuff in our old pro stock racers and even fuel bikes back in the day, and it's pretty amazing how much power we put on these old 1.25" pin cranks. They used a hardened steel race with a roller bearing that just fits right on the pin and worked pretty good. But of course now, in 1999 when the twin cam came out, we migrated to this new style press crank. And this had a 4-inch stroke on the twin cam. And as you can see with this one here, we can come in and do a little close-up. It's got a pretty torn up spline there. It looks like the sprocket got loose, and you can see how it just eats away at things like that. And then we even have a later model. This is out of a 2013 CVO 110. This particular crank has 10 and 12 thousandths run out on it. The other thing that we have to watch out for when you're doing your engine kits on your late model motorcycles is to make sure these rods are not too tight on the wrist pin. If those rods are bound up, you will have a lot of negative scrubbing and side thrusting that goes on with the crank. So when you do your top end kits, have a professional check that for you to make sure that's right. And when you get into the cranks where they have to be rebuilt, you can see that historically the size of that pin difference of the old 1.25" to now, which is about 1 11/16", just close to that. And these are pressed in with an enormous amount. Notice there's no nut, no threads. It's all pressed together. And, you know, one would think with this kind of structural integrity, with the way that these things are made, having the much larger diameters on the rods from the 1.25" to the large pin, that we would be in heaven with just how everything is working with the cranks. But, you know, it's anything but that. You know, we see a lot of damage to the splines. We see twisted splines. We see pinion shafts with enormous amounts of run out. And this is all bad for even a stock engine to conduct itself and run down the road. We're going to take a peek over here. I've got something in the stand. This is a Screaming Eagle crank out of a, I believe it's a 120R. And it's set up on centers here, so it's secured. We've got dial indicators on there. The rods are still floating okay on the pin, but if you take a look at those dial indicators, you'll notice that we have almost 20 thousandths run out on both the pinion and the sprocket shaft. It's an enormous amount of run out. This engine was ready to expire very, very soon. And it gets worse than that, because if you actually put this in V-blocks on this, so we're simulating it being nestled into the engine case itself, and then we put an indicator right here on the end of the pinion shaft. We're going to show another video in another segment where it's got 50 thousandths run out at the tip of the shaft. Now, of course, none of this is any good for any kind of engine, whether you're doing touring, whether you're doing street riding, whether you're doing racing, because we need things to be square, we need things to be perpendicular, and we focus on those kind of things when we're putting bearings in cases and line lapping, or putting Timken bearings in, replacing the old roller bearing that's in some of the 2003 and up twin cam engines. So, and of course, when we prepare a crankshaft for an engine, you know, all of these things are put into consideration, so we use the best materials we can get. The sizing is very precise, and it's just the way that we make things happen, so you end up with a smooth, durable, very powerful engine you can rely on for years to come. And we'll do more in another segment. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, so obviously we're really lucky that we have people like Danny in our corner, because Dan is super, super smart about motors. We know how to make the motor noises and go fast on a motorcycle, and he does all the smart parts. So he's got the motor right now. He's going to make that thing crazy, obviously, with some red shift cams, and go through the bottom end and get that thing ready for Bonneville. For now, what we're going to do, we're going to get started working on a couple things. We're going to bring Xavier from Providence Cycle Works over here. Him and Mark are going to get working on our other molding on the left side of the tank. You saw in the last show, we managed to get our right side together with some 1/4-inch rod, work that around. We're just going to start tacking the rest of this in so we can get this ready for filling in silica bronze. If we get to it later in the show, the place where we relocated the gas cap, we're actually going to take that pin welder and we're going to weld some pins on here and pull that back up so we can get that radius for the size of the tank. But for now, I'm going to get these guys started. As you know, to protect your eyes, we slide over the weld screen so nobody gets welding flash.
Which is like a sunburn. You'll get that flash burn on your eyes. A lot of folks, particularly when they're MIG welding and just going to tack stuff in place, they will close their eyes and kind of, they'll place it. Well, your eyelids aren't thick enough to protect your eyes from flash burn either. So what you'll actually end up doing is burning your corneas. That night you'll have a sunburn. Literally, it'll be a sunburn on your face is what it'll feel like. The next morning when you wake up, you'll have these yellow, nasty eye boogers encrusted. You won't even be able to open your eyes.
That's a technical term.
And yeah, that's a medical term. And your eyes will be dry and it'll be sucky all day for about a week. So never weld without the proper protection. Never look directly. Don't look into the light.
Carol Ann. So we're having a problem loading the one video, but what I'll show you guys here is Chris put this in a mill for us. He brought down some of the fixturing that we didn't need from the GSXR. This is where the ignition housing goes. We cut that stuff away. He threaded and tapped this so that the plate that he cut out for us and welded together will fit real nice on here. That's going to be the boss for our gauge mount. We're going to get this assembled and start getting this on the bike and figure these gauges out while these guys get started on welding.
Do we have a? Do you want
having tools like CNC plasma and CNC laser, boy, that's
even having a Bridgeport mill, I mean,
Right.
that puts you so far ahead of the game. But those things are also expensive, and so not everybody has them. Some of us use, we get excited about deburring tools, which we use like a Bridgeport.
and are nice to have around when you have one. They're great.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So it's nice to have those tools and someone that can use them and pay for them.
So the big thing here was to make this, we actually had to figure out how to mount this and get it so that our top nut would still have enough room that we could get it on and off, you know, take the top trees off and not have to take the gauges off every time. So Chris drew this up for us. He's another guy that's one of the smartest people that we know. Yeah. And when we have projects like this, we obviously go to those guys.
Yeah, because that was not the way it was planned when it went there. Right. There was a much more primitive plan this morning, or yesterday morning.
We got some JB Welding, a potato. We're going to make it cool, man.
Like maybe
So obviously,
while it's hot.
And we say this all the time. The other thing is when you have a project and you're trying to figure it out and you don't have the tools, say, I mean, you're just figuring it out like, and that's what custom motorcycle builders do. We just figure it out. But go to a machine shop, go to some place like that, and ask them to help solve your riddle. Those guys make thousands of the same widget every day. They stand there. They love having a new project to be able to think about and work on. They'll get excited.
And that's some of the most fun of working in a shop, any kind of fabrication, is problem solving. Problem solving is the best.
Those guys don't get to do it very often. So yeah, so hit up guys in your town. That's how you meet people.
See, I just solved the problem right there.
Look at you. You put it on the right way.
Had it upside down.
Yeah. Well, you had it an alternative way that was never going to work.
It was
in this
wrong,
universe,
Pat. It was wrong.
But
so yeah, so we got good clearance here.
it's not as bad as when, we've got a GSXR front end on this, and we're all kind of American V-twin guys. And I put the front end on backwards the first time we put it on in Long Beach, and Chris and Mark were giving me a hard time about it. And
No, wait. Evan was giving us a hard time.
Well, and then you guys put it on the wrong way at the neck in New York. Yeah.
Right,
and then Evan Favaro was making fun of them. So every once in a while we put something on backwards.
Listen, this is the benefit of getting a little bit older. When I was young, I can remember the old guys busting my stones at every turn. When I'd say something, I'd say, hey, didn't you do that wrong? And oh boy. So getting a little bit older now, Evan was like, you guys, you gonna run that front end upside down like that? And I looked at him and I said, yeah. I said, that's a problem with you kids. You don't think outside the box. Everything has to be this way, that way.
The calipers will work that way. The front end doesn't care. Then we went home that night, and we were riding home. He was like, that thing is on backwards. But we almost tried to figure out how to make it work that way, just to
spite him. Just to spite him.
Yeah.
No, Evan's a good kid, man. That's a
talented young man. If
Yes,
you've never
sir.
checked his stuff out, Speakeasy Motors.
Yeah.
He's up in New York. At the beginning of this year, beginning of last year, he had 10 acres up in upstate New York and Walk Hill, New York.
Work our way up.
And going into this year, he reduced that to 5.5 because he got engaged. So now he's got half everything he used to have. He used to have a couple of nice motorcycles. Now he's got one. He used to have a lot of nice tools. Now they're half. I told him that before he asked, but he did ask his girl to marry him on stage at our New York Progressive International Motorcycle Show. It was really cool. You can go on and look at Cycle Source, or again, you can look at all the old Facebook stuff that we've done this season on motorcycleshows.com, jmpcycles.com, cyclesource.com. You can go actually look up at the end of his segment where he made a tank. He actually says, I've never finished a tank this way before, but this time I thought I would. And then he asked his girlfriend to marry him, so it was really sweet.
And Pat actually started to
cry. And I cried. You can see me. If you ever want to see me cry, you can see me cry on stage in New York City. I don't know. I love that kid, though. I've known him for a while. He's a good kid.
Where's your Sharpies, Mark?
What are you doing now, Chris? Screwing around, literally, because that's backwards.
No, but
they were all kind of threaded in there. They were hard to get out. Let me just say that. Yeah. The middle one wasn't, but that one was hard to get out. So Mark didn't do us any favors yesterday on that, apparently.
Jim, that's
But he doesn't have a microphone, so.
gonna pull like a motherfucker, dude.
Somebody really did a job on these. That's what's happening.
Yeah, we need to. Yeah.
Now, obviously, we can't do that on the other side.
Yeah, I got some JB Weld back there. I'll get it together. I'll tell you what.
That doesn't have a real good history with JB Weld.
I don't. Obviously,
Well, let's start.
I need to just stick to a regular welder because I do terrible with JB Weld. I really don't understand how it works. Everybody says, "Oh, this is great," but it never works. I can never make it work. Has anybody ever had a JB Weld stick anything together and stay? I can see where it would be handy. Now JB Weld's gonna write me an ugly letter, or send me a tutorial, send me a case of it, and let me practice with it there. But I can see where you could use it to like fill a hole in a manifold or something like that. But good for powder coating, I see that. But
Good for what?
not for structural integrity. You guys haven't even been welding anything, and this screen's been up here. What are you guys doing back here?
We don't want to be seen.
Hiding.
We're hiding.
Behind the sexy go-go screen.
Right.
I like that go-go dancer screen.
Does that come in blue? No, just red.
I don't know. It's kind of sexy, though. It makes you look evil. We have an Airbnb here that we're staying in, and Mark's room, the guy that owns the house, put a sign on every bedroom door. I'm staying in The Godfather. You're staying in Scarface. Chris, what's your room?
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Which is awesome.
That's just wrong.
He told us, hey, the internet connection is in the master bedroom. So obviously, out of those choices, where would you go to first?
Forrest Gump, the master
The
bedroom.
Godfather.
Sleep, Forrest, sleep.
No. Then I went to Scarface. I'm like, well, if it's not the Godfather, Scarface got to be the master. No, Forrest Gump is the master bedroom.
So that's where Chris is. But in Mark's bedroom, he's got red curtains over the windows. And when the sun comes through, the whole room looks like it's covered in blood. They're kind of like this.
It's awesome.
It's
You know
awesome.
Because that's what I see when I open my eyes. I see blood.
I cannot.
That's
that
why.
Little Fran. That little Fran.
All right,
Did
so
you
we,
get it?
yeah, I
All
did.
right.
Jeez.
All right, man. That took a while.
I'm going to take a nap.
No, don't take him back out, man. What are you taking him back out for?
I said nap.
Oh, take a nap. I thought back out. I'm like, Jesus, you just got him in. So
Yeah.
this is what it's like in a normal garage. We stand around. Most of the time we talk. We would starve if we worked for flat rate.
We cuss
I don't
more.
want to take a chance.
We cuss more and we drink more. But we don't do that here because Sean Burke with Progressive Activation would be mad. And Sean's mean, so we don't do that.
Mad.
We won't do that here because there's too much to do. When you have to build a motorcycle in 7 shows, there's no drinking time.
I will tell you, there's a guy with Progressive that's here, Paul Schloss, good friend of mine. I met him when we were both living in Atlanta. He was in the Marine Corps then, Semper Fi. He was doing that, and he built a soft tail and let me look at it every once in a while. I got to touch it, but
Okay,
it's a
so-
beautiful soft tail.
This is our top tree now modified, and obviously once we get our mock-up assembly together, we're going to take this thing and ship it out to powder coating and get it real nice. What I like about it is he's finally covered up the little Suzuki emblem, because I can't roll into bike night with my Suzuki emblem hanging out.
Not that anything's wrong with Suzuki,
It just confused people.
the largest
What kind
OEM
of
that's
Suzuki is
closest
that?
to
I
us.
got to ask question. I answer
Well,
question.
exactly. And Suzuki might not want their name on this bike. That's more to the
the truth.
point. We've eliminated a lawsuit.
There you go.
basically.
So once we get that in final mock-up, we'll get that thing powder coated. It'll be real nice. For now, we're going to start getting the autometer gauges in here. Pat showed you those things. They're pricey, but they're beautiful, nice and small. So, we had mentioned we're taking this bike to Bonneville when it's all said and done. We want a nice little set of gauges that's going to fit behind this fairing, so nothing's really hanging out. Get everything nice and tight, so when you're cutting across the salt flats, nothing's going to slow you down.
Here,
This
let
is
me
your
get
job, ain't it, announcer guy?
I didn't know if you wanted to do it or.
Well, you had it on lock. Boy.
Yeah, I did. We'll each do one and we'll see who does it faster.
Oh, I just dropped the nut. See, I'm already out.
These are some other ones that are in there really good. Now, not all this stuff works the same on everything, but you will want to, you just want to pay attention to which gauge is in which housing. On this particular application, I don't think it's going to matter.
Well, I would like, if it's all the same to you, I would like to keep my RPM on the right side.
All right.
Because that's my good eye.
All right, well, there's your speedometer.
Where did our grommet? Grommet stays up in here, or is there one for here too?
There is no grommet. There's just, for the wire, it's just on there. You have to pull it off. There's no other rubber or gasket or anything. Do you have one? You didn't have one? I'll find it.
Okay, so this is our speedo.
Should have been on there. I don't know what happened to it. They come with these nice little rubber rings that tuck inside there too. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Keeps them from rattling around.
Rattling. Did you say rattling?
Rattling around, man. I gotta get them on rattling. I think that thing fell off. Here's one. I'll find another one.
Hey, got it. One more time.
That thing wasn't on there, huh?
Okay, so run, Forrest, run.
Run, Forrest, run.
And from that point on, everywhere I went, I was running.
Got it?
That's why you got that room.
Heather, hey, listen, Heather yells at us all the time because we talk almost exclusively in movie quote when we're on the road, and she wants to kill us for that.
That's Butte, Clark.
You're killing me, Smalls. Okay, so there's one-ish.
There you go. There you go, man. That'll do, pig.
That'll do, pig.
It's from Babe.
Is that?
It's a children's movie. That's you. That's what it sounds like when fat people like Chris and I'm not picking on all of you other fat people put on our shoes in the morning.
No, it ain't.
No, it's you take one deep breath before you pass out.
That's not a lot of fun at all.
No, that I made the mistake realizing I was going to have to take them back apart, actually putting those grommets all the way in. I got that little pick there if you need help shoving that in the hole. That was pick, Tim. I understand.
Wow.
Roy and AJ. Did you hear that?
It's a tough crowd today, boy.
Tough crowd. It's a tough crowd.
I didn't have to hear it necessarily because I thought it. I just didn't think it as fast as them.
Yeah. You know, the toughest part of this gig is having friends, because this is a rated G show for the family. Your friends don't help pointing stuff out.
Especially your friends that are spending a weekend away from their family.
Yeah, because they're off the leash. Now they're those cool perverts that run around the city drinking. Of course, first time I met Roy, I thought his daughter was his wife, his old lady or something.
Do my best, brother.
Yeah, but everybody's tiptoeing around it.
Nobody wanted to come out and ask him.
Because I'd actually known Roy for a while before I met Nikki, and then I met Nikki, and I was like, dang, I didn't know Roy had that kind of money.
We're all out to dinner with him going, so, how do you know her?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we do need to talk about that restaurant that she and her friends go to every night, though. When they're here, the place we went out to eat the other night, it was an interesting...
We made an interesting observation there.
Okay. Did she know that? Oh. If she's gotten good service there before, there was a reason. I'm just saying.
Listen, there's a quite specific political party that's frequents that establishment.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with it if you're into that kind of thing. It was just unusual that Jeff called and says, hey, we're meeting there. Good restaurant there. I will recommend it. Maracas. If any of you guys haven't eaten their Mexican lasagna.
Oh.
Out of this world. Out of this world.
See, that's another good thing about getting older. You know, we used to go from town to town, and we could tell you the best bars to go to in every town, and now it's the best place to eat.
Yeah. Because you learn you can drink cheaper at home. And this is why you keep beer in the fridge at your shop, so you can have a friend come over and hold stuff. Because this is the kind of stuff they don't really tell you. You can't really put them on while they're on the bike.
No.
And they're chrome, so you'll scratch them up. Of course, are you powder coating all this?
No, but nothing I have that's
scruff it?
chrome stays nice chrome, so
No, mine gets scratched during assembly.
I try to get over that pretty quick.
People want to know why when I build stuff, all the chrome, I end up, it looks like brushed aluminum. It's because I scratch it, so I just go ahead and take my red emery.
Where's the screw?
My screw was right there.
No.
My screw was right there. You dropped yours. What'd you do?
I picked mine up.
Mine was right there.
Now, see?
What'd you do with yours? I'm telling you, man, I had mine. I laid it right here. I promise, Daddy.
Look in your pocket.
I don't have it in my... We got... I heard it. There it is. That's yours that fell through the hole. That's yours that fell through the hole. That's the one.
Now the breathing is back.
That's also what happens when you get fat. You breathe heavy when you think hard. You breathe hard pretty much
all the time.
Because there's the fat around the lungs. Hey, Mark, there's a reason we don't give you a microphone. It's because we don't want to hear you talk, so shut up and get back to work.
And you're burned.
Don't burn me.
And what? What did I do?
Are you guys getting ready? I don't know. I'm supposed to be talking on a microphone.
Okay.
Ow, oh, God, no. That kind of hurt.
So let's get some zip ties and zing them up. But see, very, very cool looking now. That's going to be great for us. Obviously, these are electronic gauges.
And we just zip tie it together, obviously, to make it neater.
We're zip tying it together right now because we no idea, honestly, how the wiring of this motorcycle is going to go.
So we need it all. There's one for you.
And that means that we don't want to cut any excess wiring away because the guy that's actually going to come in and do the wiring will be super mad.
Because Chris has got to ride this from Washington, D.C. back to Pittsburgh after the last show.
Boy.
I think it's impressive that you've offered to do that without a chase vehicle.
It's not that I've offered to do it without a chase vehicle. Everyone else is going home.
Are you really doing that without a chase vehicle?
Yeah.
Everyone else is going home.
Woohoo! I mean, I'd do it, but I got to fly home.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Iowa
Iowa
needs me.
I got to mow the grass.
We don't have that many people in Iowa, and so if I'm gone for long, they get nervous about the vote count.
Beauty.
Okay, nice little set of gauges now. Thanks to Chris Moose over at Misfits for helping us get this plate figured out for the mounting. We're going to get these on the top here and continue on with our mock-up assembly.
Are you guys making any headway on the tank over here?
Yes, we are. A little bit by a little bit.
Okay. Don't wake the baby.
Did you eat, Pat?
Yeah, did you?
Well, just making sure you get all grumpy when you don't eat.
Huh?
Huh?
What?
If somebody had pizza.
I had pizza. I like pizza. You had pizza too.
I like pizza.
Hey, you know you can get Domino's to deliver to the stage here. So I didn't think I could.
Hint, hint.
We're gonna be like this big now. Yeah, I got it on my phone. I got Domino's app on my phone. I'm ashamed to admit it.
Yep.
Okay.
Just gonna give it
All right, these guys are still working on
bit
this.
more- little bit
Now,
more stick out,
Xavier,
so that way- yes.
before you blow a hole in the tank, tell me what you guys have been doing back here. What have you been working on, and why have you been working on it?
Well, what we're big red screen. What we're doing is we're tacking this section of round stock to the edge of the tank. But the problem being, obviously, is that one metal is one thickness and the other metal is the other thickness. So you have to be really careful because you're either going to blow a hole through the tank, like my friend just said, or you won't get enough tack. So by the time you get 2 or 3 inches down, the first one that you just did is going to pop off.
They do, huh?
So it's kind of like it's massaging the whole thing to make sure that you get good tacks on everything before you go back and lay your final. But once you start doing even tacks, this smaller material is going to want to contort any different way. So you have to do it, look at it, make sure it's going the right way, tap it, et cetera, et cetera. So although it's a time-consuming situation, you want to do it as close to one time, and that's it. Because if not, then you have to start the whole thing over, which nobody wants to do. So
Nope.
That's why it's taking a little bit more time, but, you know.
All right, now you're going to make with the burning.
Make with the burning. I'm going to burn some stuff.
We'd love to be able to show you this on the screens as well, but unfortunately we figured out, well, we didn't figure it out. Nobody really in this building actually figured it out. But
The guy who had to pay for
the
the
guy that had to
camera.
pay for the new cameras figured it out, that the camera lens is just like a human eye, and if it looks at the weld, it too gets burnt. So,
Okay, so gauge is in place. I wish we could show. Where's my phone? We can show you guys this maybe.
here, my phone's right here, bud.
Let me grab mine.
Oh, what? Why don't you just grab your phone, Chris? We'll see you in a minute when you get back from wherever he's going. I don't know what he's doing either. He's going to get his phone. Apparently he's going to call somebody. Oh, you're taking a picture of the bike. I should have known. Here, this is what Gimli, that's Gimli. He played Gimli in Lord of the Rings. That's what he looks like on a motorcycle.
She said I could stay, Pat.
You can stay. Everybody likes pictures of pets. What are you doing? Just looking? They look good. What are we doing at 5 o'clock? We're not. Do they deliver? Oh, yeah. If we could find somebody to deliver tacos right about 5 o'clock, that'd be nice. Right about now? Yeah, because we just ate pizza. That wore off.
Let's get our top nut in there.
Oh, Chris did come back.
Let's get our top nut on here. We're going to get a picture of this for you guys and send it back to the production crew so that we can put it up on that screen. Give
That's
me one more
fancy.
minute.
See what he's doing? He's going to take that picture. He's going to send it to people behind the curtain.
No,
They're going to put it on the screen. You'll be able to see what we did because we set the bike up backwards on the stage.
You know what? They did let me know that the video we were looking for is loaded. So
Oh, good.
While we're waiting here for a second, can we bring that missing video up? This was our day yesterday afternoon at Chris Moose's place. There's our buddy Chris. Like I said, very, very intelligent man. He does a lot of the fixturing and figuring for Misfit Industries. We went to him with our piece and pleaded our case, and he was glad to spend some time and hook this up for us.
He measures a lot. He likes to measure.
While that video's playing,
That's not so much a video as it is a
good?
picture.
well, there's video
Oh.
coming. I want to. So this is when we first got there, getting the top clamp in the mill, and you can see at this point that ignition tab that I was talking about. He's just moving that material away and getting it off of there because it's not going to be part of our design.
Now, Chris, if you didn't have a Bridgeport mill in your shop, how would you do this?
You know, honestly, we don't have a Bridgeport, so we'd put it in a vise and we'd take a muffler cutter or a cut-off wheel and we'd cut a big piece of it off, and then we'd sit there with a little grinding wheel and do a little bit of time, which is effectively it's the same thing.
It's just,
This is much more precise and a much better look in the end and less chance that you're going to wipe a part out.
and it's cooler to say you did it on your Bridgeport mill.
It is. And that's the truth.
That's the truth. But it is quicker too, and it is more precise. Obviously, you get a nicer finish if you just have the right tools. But
Yeah, I mean, because the worst thing would be we've already. Yeah, why? Was it?
yeah, at this point in this build, if we messed up this top triple tree, it'd set us way back.
Okay, and this is the very end. He's bringing the last bit of it off and getting a nice finish. The nicest thing about having a Bridgeport in your shop, and like this is anybody who works on stuff, eventually you get the idea where you want a lathe, you want a Bridgeport. It's a big ticket item, but the time that it saves from being able to say, hey, I got an idea for something, and being able to turn right around and start working on that idea versus going up the road to the machine shop guy. This is Chris's CNC plasma cutting table where he made our fixture. He actually made the design himself, did the CAD drawing of it, threw it into the machine, cut this thing out, just a couple minutes. Something that would have taken us, again, without a piece of machinery like this would have been a much more involved process for us.
Well, and Chris, we should point out that Mark took this video, and it's good video.
Yeah, right?
He did a good job. Huh? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Hey, it shows.
This is something that's becoming a lot more prevalent in today's motorcycle and fab shops is this kind of machinery, man, because of the time that it saves. You know, everybody today is starting to get fluent in CNC programming and the understanding of the machinery. And so
you can actually buy some inexpensive software even just to draw your own pieces.
Right. Yeah.
Take it to a shop, and they'll be able to very then quickly put that into their program and be able to cut out a piece for you.
So that's the finished product that Chris helped figure out for us. And then, like I said, we just went through the thing today, figuring out the gauges and getting everything put on there. And I think we shot a picture to the back that we can bring up and show you guys what these gauges look like mounted up here on the bike now. There we go. A little bit of fingerprints on them, but
not mine.
Really good look. You know, like I said in the beginning, everything's nice and tight back here behind our fairing. It's all tucked away. We don't have to worry about wind drag or anything, and still gives us the functionality of a speedometer and an RPM gauge. How we doing, Holmes?
He said if he starts, he's got to finish. So I don't think we're going to get to pull the top of that tank out, unless you want to try to do it while he's welding.
Well, while he's doing that, we also had from the last city, we had Austin
Andrella from Austin Martin Originals, exactly.
Austin Martin from Andrella's Originals was helping us make this seat pan, and we still have a little bit of work to do on this, so we can actually come back into our seat pan. I know that we wanted to extend this tailpiece, so we're going to zip this back off and get that tailpiece welded a little further.
Are you going to take it all the way back? Where are you going to take it back to? That white line that you made there?
Yeah. The original place that I said, let's make it this long.
Yeah.
No, but I can't fault him. He was nice enough to come on stage and help us. And that's kind of how this has been the whole way across the country, asking our friends just to help us out. Look at that, already using the fixtures from Weld Table.
Look at that.
Listen, I went at that like I knew they were here. Our guys at Certiflat that make these weld tables, man, they hooked us up with a whole new load of products here, and we're going to be talking about that in the next segment. Xavier is actually going to take you through the whole thing of using this table and what all these different fixtures about. But I'll tell you what, if there's one thing you're saving up your money for in your fab shop that makes your life a whole lot easier, one of these tables, you cannot believe. Now, because I don't want 100 emails to come in or Facebook. Hey, speaking of Facebook, Pat, you got a little computer in your pocket, don't you?
I do.
Anybody on Facebook have anything to say?
Let me look. I'm always afraid to look because sometimes the people.
You know what? Before I do this and spit sparks into the crowd, That's the other thing you don't think about when you're not working in your own shop.
Hey, I see me looking at my phone. On my phone.
Huh?
That's weird. I'm old. It still freaks me out. I can see myself on my phone looking at me on my phone. Let's see. We've got...
You going?
I don't want... Oh. David Campbell says, it's all in the details. And Dana Manconi says, Mark, your dad and I are watching. And now I'm hearing myself say what I just said. Jackie, why don't you tell us all of the fun stuff you've got going on in the Progressive Lounge?
Well, in case you're just now heading on over towards the Progressive Parlor and Main Stage area, we got our friends from Grease and Gears Garage up there doing an awesome skill demonstration up there on the main stage. They're doing that presentation all weekend long. Here in the parlor, we are also hooking you up with tons of awesome free stuff going on over here. We've got free airbrush tattoos. We also are signing you up for your chance to win right now a brand new this year's custom bike, that beautiful custom bike from Disowned Customs. When you get signed up to win that beautiful BMW, I'm going to throw in a free hat or t-shirt just for entering that great contest. And if you'd like to find out exactly why we are the #1 rated motorcycle insurance company in the United States, we've got a great agent on hand that would love to chat with you about making the switch on over to Progressive Motorcycle Insurance. But come on in, friends. We still got your presentation up on the main stage for Grease and Gears Garage.
Grease and Gears Garage. I love to play the game with the Progressive Insurance agent, Stump the Agent. He has an encyclopedic knowledge of all things insurance related. And you don't have to just have a question about motorcycle insurance. They have boat insurance, RV insurance, ATV insurance, house insurance, and commercial insurance, shop insurance. They also even have pet insurance. So go see our insurance agent over there and play Stump the Insurance. Ask him a question that you know he doesn't know the answer to. He's going to blow you away because he knows everything about insurance. Don't ask him fitness questions. I can tell from here is don't ask him anything about the gym. Ask him his favorite recipe. I'm just playing. You're sexy the way you are. Don't go changing.
Oh, my
good
Lord.
Please me. I like that song, though. Are you going to have to make a whole new piece for the back now?
I don't think so.
You think you bend it out straight and just pull it back,
I'm
huh?
going to give... I'm probably going to do that, and then we'll put some extra metal in here to come off of the sides to make it strong.
Little webs like here?
Yeah. And then we'll take a strap over the whole thing.
Are you going to get Moose to cut those little webs out on his CNC?
No.
We're going to do them with hand snips, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, if you are with us on Facebook Live, you can ask a question or make a comment. In Long Beach, people made rude comments about my weight. You're welcome to do the same. They don't hurt me as much now because I talked to my mom about it. No, but you can, and if anybody here just walking through or that's watching has a question or a comment about anything that we're doing, certainly you can ask. If you want to see something a little closer, or if there's a particular skill that's being demonstrated on the stage that you say, man, I really would like to get my hands on that. I've seen it, I've heard about it, I've watched it. I'd like to get my hands on it. By all means, come up and ask, and we'll try to get you involved in the process as well, because Grease and Gears Garage is not just an opportunity for us to entertain people with building things and making things. It's an opportunity for us to inspire and educate people about how they can do this with their own motorcycles. So by all means, if you want to get hands-on with stuff, come on up. If we've got any other builders in the house that want to come up and lend a hand, that's what garages are like. You know, we're just giving you a snippet. People stop by. You can't just stop by and drink a beer. You got to stop by and help to drink the beer. So come on by and help. Again, if you've just joined us, we've got Xavier and Mark are over here working on some of the details of our tank that's going to go on War Pony, a bike that we're building here for the Progressive International Motorcycle Show Series. We started in Long Beach. We'll complete it in Washington, D.C. as a completed motorcycle. Chris and I have been over here working on the gauge cluster, getting the RPM and speedometer gauge up there. And now Chris is massaging the seat pan that we actually had Austin Andrella from Austin Martin Originals. I actually think it was probably Addie Andrella, his 8-year-old daughter, that helped more than Austin did. Chris decided that he wanted the tail of the seat, the passenger piece, to come back about 2 inches further. So we've had to cut that off and bring it back. And amazing how easy Austin Andrella's welds just came right off.
It wasn't easy whatsoever. Austin's one of the best welders I know.
He is, and you can tell he is because he posts pictures of his welds on the internet. If you don't have pictures of your welds on social media, you probably aren't a very good welder. I mean, you out?
See you later, brother.
All right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, give Paul Schloss a big hand. Served in the Marine Corps for an entire career and retired, now works for Progressive. Thank you for your service and your friendship, brother. I know. Take Doug out for a beer. Doug's never had one, so be gentle with him. Mike wants to know if he can help burn a hole in the tank. How are we coming with the tank so far?
Well, you know, okay, so I'm going to hold.
Let's talk a little bit about this process,
Slowly
though.
working our way up.
Okay. I don't know if we can get a camera on this. I'm hoping we can. Well, Xavier, explain why you're eliminating that gap and how Mark's helping you do that.
Mark is actually helping me. What I'm doing is I'm heating little bit by little bit, so this rod, this round stock here, doesn't bow out too far that way. If it bows out too far too quick, it's going to be twice as hard to get back, because then we're going to start having this cheese grater effect. So what we do is we go in little bit by little bit, tack into the crevice as much as possible, so there's not a whole bunch of gunk outside of it, and then lightly tap it in little bit by little bit, so the rod takes more of the shape of the tank, little bit by little bit, as opposed to it having this awful arc. So we have one piece right here that's what we're going to do, because between this point and this point where it's been heated, this is kind of bended a little. I don't know if anybody can see that.
They can see the back of my head.
So it's got a little bit of an arch where this you can't get rod through it, right? So this one on this side.
So let's get up there. We'll be able to show them the gap.
This one on this side. This one on this side you can get the rod through.
So, and
what we're trying to do, flip it over. So what we're trying to do is mimic this here, which is just tack, 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 like every inch. You can't get the rod through it. So that's basically what we're trying to do, but you can't do too much too quick, because then the whole tank and the rod is going to distort, and you're right back to starting from square zero. So it's burn a hole in the tank, which is what you don't want to do, period. Which Pat keeps saying, but that's what he wants to do. But,
burn a hole in the tank.
dude, don't take my thunder, bro. Come on, let me burn. I say that now, right? Damn.
And it's really important that you be careful and take your time with this, because when you look down at this tank, those are going to be two very distinct body lines that you're going to see from the top of the tank.
So when you're seeing it from the top, the sides, and the front, symmetrics is what this is all about. Otherwise, it would have been just a normal tank.
Fill them with silica bronze. And then,
right. And not only that, but when you're doing that, everything is about, heat control, pedal control, angle of the torch, dipping your rod. So there's a multitude of things that are going on just to get this one little bead right there. So, and that's what, there's guys out there that can just like literally with their eyes closed go bloop and you're good, So
make Chris happy.
Yeah. We're all trying to make Chris happy.
It's like a go-go screen. I love it.
Keep working our way up. I'm not going to put a helmet on. So.
Well, if you
and Chris is steadily beating on this passenger piece of the seat. He's getting just the right contour. One of the reasons we do this more than anything is to demonstrate that you don't have to be good looking to do this. I mean, one of the four of us happens to be good looking.
Now look, what I actually did was on that dolly that I have locked in the vise, I started we had a nice radius here, but not so much off of the side, so I started bringing that radius over so it fits little more tight to the fender. So by the time we get the leather and stuff and the material under there, we'll end up with a nice tight edge, you know.
It was amazing watching Austin. Mark was really impressed with how quickly Austin made this part of the seat pan. It only took him 2.5 days. No, it was he's a good guy. I like busting his chops. Austin's a good guy. He likes to measure. We're not always the measurers.
See that thing you were talking about where like your buddies come by, like, hey man, can I have a beer? No, you can lend me a hand. Then
exactly. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you hold this, and now let me burn you once, or pinch you with something, and now you can have a beer.
Can you move the screen, Pat?
Yes.
So, what we were just talking about, that gap that was here, here, and here, as I poke him in the face, is no longer here. So that's what we're trying to do, little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit. So when you have a buddy helping you, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, to do this by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine. I see tie-down straps being strategically placed and cinching everything down, and
we didn't do
them getting hot and melt into the tank. So having a buddy help is much easier.
You know what does make it a lot easier? All those fixtures from Weld Table.
Yeah, exactly.
And at some point in time,
we'll know how to use them.
No, not that one. Not that way. I'm worried about this one. Look, I'm worried about this right here. Because you're pushing down right here. This one right here is where I need to grab.
Okay, so.
Yeah. But
I got that better.
Way in the way. Way in the way.
I'm going to switch out belts on the belt grinder, or the belt sander. I'm going to turn it from a belt grinder to a belt sander.
I don't know, though. Look, watch. Look. We don't have any.
We'll put some 120 on that. And this is going to be loud for a minute.
But sparks are cool. That's not so loud. I thought it was going to be louder. You want to take your relationship, whether you're a man or a woman, with your significant other to the next level, you need to get a planishing hammer. It's a little hammer that's hydraulic and it beats on metal, and you can't hear a damn thing while it's going. Like the ugly Vanna White.
Now I'm going to switch over
You're
to
welcome.
the T-dolly. With that, I'm going to move to a body beater mallet. It won't beat my material up as bad. I'm just going to start smoothing this edge a little bit better. See this one here, how nice. But on this side, I'm still a little bit out. So
with metal, you know, you can do lots of things with it, but I mean, you think you could do a lot of things, but Aaron Green in Sturgis, who's an excellent metal worker, Paramount Cycles, you know, reminded us that you can only do two things with metal. You can stretch it or you can shrink it. When you bend metal, you've basically just stretched metal. I mean, that's all you've done. So you can, when you're trying to pull it together to make something, a radius that's going to be in the inside of a radius, you're shrinking it. When you want to pull it out and make the outside radius, you're stretching it. And so that is the only two things you can do. So what Chris is doing with a hammer that you see a lot of people, you know, do on TV with machines is just, he's basically just stretching and shrinking the material in order to get a shape. That started off flat, and now through a series of doing that and just test fitting, I mean, you got to keep going back.
Pretty good. What do you think?
That looks good. You do ace number one work there, boss.
Si, bravo, bravo. Okay.
You'll learn a sandwich for dinner, but not the one from the parking lot. I was hungry earlier, and Chris and I found somebody's lunch in the parking lot. It was a cheese sandwich. It was in a Ziploc bag, and there was another bag, had a couple of bananas in it. One of them had gotten run over. Chris refused to let me eat the cheese sandwich or the banana. We just left food on the ground. I couldn't believe it. It really hurt me. So I ordered pizza. But I was hungry. The guys that are up next on stage are going to be some guys that are going to come up here, and they have it's Alpine Tech, but they have a jacket that you wear. It's got like an airbag inside it. And you're going to have a guy stand on stage, and when they deploy it, he goes, it's funny. We've all been talking. I mean, Xavier probably could wear it. But, I mean, if that thing went off on a guy my size, can you imagine? I mean, I would knock cars out of the way. But it's pretty cool. They'll be up here at 4:30 here in just about 20 minutes. They'll be heading to the stage. So, for those of you that just joined us on Facebook Live, Xavier and Mark are finishing up not finishing up, but they are moving further forward with the details on the sides of the tank, where you can get kind of a French-done look by taking straight round rod, forming it as we did at the last show in Cleveland. So you can go back on our Facebook page and look at that for Grease and Gears Garage, and you can begin to see how that happened. But they're tacking it down and making sure that they do it slow and just apply the heat evenly to that. And Chris and I have worked on the gauge cluster here, and now Chris is working on, we had a seat pan started by Austin Andrella in Cleveland last weekend at the show, and the tail section, the passenger seat, was a little bit shorter, about 2 inches shorter than what we wanted, and so Chris is making that just a little bit longer now, and he's giving it the nice shape so it follows the contour of the rear fender and kind of follows also both in terms of the radius of the fender and the dimension of the fender going from front to back.
Get this.
What you need, Chris?
I almost want to run that through the planishing hammer to get a crown, but I know I don't have to.
Where is the planishing hammer?
It's away. It's put away.
It's put away?
Uh-huh. Put up.
It's here, though, right?
Yeah.
We just decided not to bring it out?
This is where we had that welded piece. I still got a little bit of... That's a funny thing about starting to work metal by hand. The more you do it, the pickier you get, and you start really watching the metal move.
Yeah, when you're doing metal work, a lot of people think you got to get a bunch of tools. All you got to do is get a framing hammer, a piece of metal, and a piece of wood, and go at it, and you can start moving metal.
There we go.
That gets bolted down. That'll be nice, huh?
Mm-hmm. So we'll get maybe we'll get Xavier to come over and throw a tack on that. Let's get
what do you want to do?
Let's get this kind of in place. We'll get Xavier to come over and throw a tack on.
Talk about what you're doing now with your tungsten there.
Grinding the tungsten back to a point, because that's, you want a nice fine point to get into this little crevice or crevasse, so we can dip our filler rod to get it to both metals to adhere. And sometimes, I dipped the tungsten and got it too close, and what happens is a filler rod contaminates the tungsten and it kind of bubbles up. So you got to get it back to a nice point. That's what Mark's doing, and we're going to get back to it, see? Da-da-da-da.
AX.
That's the expensive part of learning how to TIG weld, because those little sticks cost about $8 a piece.
Come throw a couple tacks on this for me.
What's that?
Come throw a couple tacks on this.
Okay. Got to tack, because we're going to drill and tap the frame so we can bolt that sucker down. Because, again, Chris is going to ride this from Washington, D.C., Pittsburgh, after the last show.
Yeah, just throw that.
That's awesome. Every time you say that, his eyes. Oh.
Well, he wouldn't wuss out of a challenge because Chris is a real man. So
I don't know how
Hey,
much.
Chris, what was that story that somebody challenged you to ride a bike somewhere and you were like, all right, and you did it?
Harley Davidson did. Harley Davidson first came out with the V-Rod muscle. They flew a bunch of the editors across the country to ride it at Infineon Raceway Park. And halfway through the day, they decided they needed one back to the East Coast. And I looked at the other editor sitting there. I said, nobody's going to take Harley up on the chance to ride this motorcycle back for them. And the guys from Harley said, oh, you can't ride that bike across country. I was like, yeah, you can. It's water cooled and it goes like hell. So they threw me the keys and said, go ahead, smart guy, ride it.
And what happened?
67 hours later, I dropped it off on the East Coast.
You know, the V-Rod, they're not making anymore now.
I know.
That was Willie G's. You know, Willie G was in Daytona, and how far away from Harley are we? I can tell this story. Willie G, you know, designed the Harley. That was the V-Rod. That was his baby. He was sold out for it, and they had a V-Rod owner's ride that Harley would put out, and all of them would join at Beach Street on Wednesday morning and all go for a big ride. And Willie G came to send off hundreds of V-Rods on this ride, and I had to introduce Willie G, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, here's Willie G, and I do, of course, a big build-up. Said he came here to tell you one thing about the V-Rod. He's sorry. And nobody laughed. And so I just handed him the mic and walked away. But the first ad they did for the V-Rod in a magazine was the back of the V-Rod and a long straight road, and it said for the road straight ahead. And that was never more the truth with a V-Rod because it would just go straight. I never could get those things to turn corners.
You want one right next to it?
What's up?
You want two?
Yeah.
So like 1, 2, and 3?
Yep. You know, actually, Pat, I don't know if you remember this or not, but they came out with a bike right after the original V-Rod, and before the muscle, there was a V-Rod called the Street Rod or something.
Yeah.
Had like a little more of a European riding position. We actually took that with the magazine out to Sport Bike Track Day and tested it on the track, and you could actually throw that thing around on a track. Like
really?
It was pretty neat. I mean, it was a lot of motorcycles, so
yeah.
It took somebody mine and your size to throw it around.
Yeah. Not a bad bike. It just was it was just an unusual configuration. I mean, you know, it was an American muscle bike is what it was. I mean, it was a good bike, but
Oh, that was an ugly one.
now, Chris, they also when we're talking about them doing away with bikes, they also did away with the classic Softail and the Dyna. But you got to ride one of those.
Lay a couple more here.
Yeah, we'll get it after that. Now I'm going to take some time and work it in.
You got to ride one of those new bikes. What did you think about it? I know in Long Beach you did a review.
The new Softails are amazing. I rode all of them, every single one, and
We're all discombobulated.
man, 30 pounds lighter overall from their predecessors. It's super, super fast motor with that Milwaukee 8. I love that bike. But like anything else, you know, I can remember when the Evo first came out, and guys were like, "Oh," because comparing to the Shovelhead, it was a completely different motor. You know, and again, when the twin cam's out, you like the Evo guys were like,
well, it took me till 1998 to buy an Evo, and I still haven't bought a twin cam. So I'm one of those guys. I don't like change. Unless it's your loose change, you're welcome to come and spread it on the edge of the stage. I'll pick it up at the end of the segment.
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, I still put an Evo in everything. I got one in a Road King right now, 100 horsepower.
7 years in a row, fastest street Harley in the world.
7 years in a row, fastest street Harley in the world. Oh, there we got some change. Thank you. Oh, it's a quarter. For that, you get a dance, sir.
All right.
Yeah, the Evo was hard to beat.
So what do we have? Anything on the Facebook machine?
Well, let me look.
All right. Where are we at?
We're good up to
RJ Powell, hey guys, looks like fun.
RJ's probably wishing that he was here in Dallas with us. He was on stage all week last week in Cleveland.
RJ Powell with Cutthroat Customs.
He loves when you say that.
I know he does. Joan Simmons, Kirsch helmets, freaking fantastic. I don't know that we can say freaking on stage. I just did. Who's this Dana Menconi? She's hot. She keeps watching us.
Yeah, usually we don't get returns.
What?
So later on throughout the weekend, we got a lot of great stuff coming up here. The guys from American Eagle Harley Davidson are actually going to be in the house doing a stage 2 upgrade. One of my favorite craftsmen, Matt Hurtado, is going to be on stage doing hand tooling leather goods.
Working Man's Customs. He is a talented fella.
Right? A lot of great stuff in Dallas.
You know, one of the Texas, man, I guess it might be as a result of the weather. Of course, you guys have had some cold weather now this year, but Texas, man, they're motorcycle crazy out here. It's everybody's rides out here. It's really nice. Now you're making the web just to strengthen that up a little. Is that where you're headed?
Yeah, and give it shape for when the upholstery guy gets a hold of it, so that he knows how we want to bring those sides around, because we're going to cut away here.
Right.
So all I want to do is make a little piece of material to show him where we're going with that. We're going to come down through the middle here with a strap that's going to give it some real form and strength.
A scrap. It always gets me. I keep turning off my Facebook. I can't see the. My Domino's tracker keeps popping up.
I thought you were just talking about your eyes being too bad.
No, I had my glasses someplace. I left. They are bad.
Were those your glasses?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, those. Where were they?
They were up here.
Yeah. These are my old lady glasses. Old lady glasses. They kind of look like his. Now I'll just say they're my cool guy glasses. He didn't have a bat, so I figured picking on him was all right. If he had a bat, I'd have left him alone.
This is the important thing about hanging out with the right peer group, though. You got to get a bunch of guys that are all wearing the same prescription of reading glass.
Exactly. Someplace close, so you can go to Northern Tool and buy a handful of them. You just buy like 12 pair at a time.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's right. You can get safety glasses that are. I wear 1.75. My eyes aren't that bad, but they're just bad enough. All right, we're continuing to finish up this tank. Mark, how close is Xavier over there? Almost around the edge, huh? Oh, well, you do look cool in them. Yeah, well, if you look at you just like that, you look like a rabbi with the hat on backwards and the glasses. Your shlamaka? It's a yarmulke.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Don't be disrespectful.
We're going to be getting a message from the front office again.
I didn't insult. I corrected. It's a
We're
yarmulke.
just going to offend everybody. All right.
Oh, man. I can't stay out of trouble on here.
You like a bad country song some days.
Sorry, Daddy.
There goes that breath again. I love these clamps.
I know. I'm jelly. That's what the kids say now, isn't it? Jelly?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't have kids anymore. All mine are old now, and they're not even cool.
What did my daughter say not too long ago that had my head twisted around? She said something about her and her friends. Somebody was throwing. No, they weren't throwing a party.
Well, I know that when we were growing up, for the longest time, you said, hey, let's hook up later.
Yeah.
But now hooking up means something completely different to the kids.
Well, and I just recently learned what the whole let's get Netflix and chill means.
Yeah.
I didn't get
Yeah,
that.
you don't want to. I don't want to get Netflix and chill with you anymore.
Oh, no.
I mean, no. I mean, we have gotten Netflix and chill.
But it was honestly Netflix and chill.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're not young kids that do those kinds of things.
Yeah. What a drag it is getting old.
All right.
Okay, so.
Well, I'm hoping Xavier finishes up because he's got right at about 2 minutes.
So that's where we're at. We're going to get this stuff cleaned up and get
This
it ready.
guy's holding up a BMR sign over here.
No.
He made one, yeah.
Big mountain run.
Big mountain run. You can join Chris and the crew out there at the Big Mountain Run in June. I'm going to be at the Republic of Texas rally. Come see me there in Austin.
Somebody send the people from Republic of Texas rally a $25 bill for that mention. Actually 50 because I just said it again.
Okay, there you go. Chris, how close are they? I'm not getting into that.
Come
I
on.
got to work for the Republic of Texas rally, man. We need to have everybody go online and petition the Republic of Texas rally to bring Grease and Gears Garage
No.
back.
No, TBMR.
Yeah, what time is it?
It's time to go. It's
I want to see if we have time to pull. We're actually going to try pulling that down.
No, we don't have that kind of time.
Come on.
We got to get our stuff off and get their stuff up.
Well,
We'll do
you
that
guys
next segment.
Stop back in for the next segment. We're going to be doing stuff on the weld table. We'll start getting those little pieces put into the seat pan. The seat pan is getting there, though. We're going to start cut some of this stuff away.
Pretty
I want to get
soon.
this out to the upholstery guy this weekend.
This weekend, because you got to be sitting on that, riding it back to Pittsburgh at the end of February.
Me and Gimli.
You're going to have to hit this.
You and Gimli, he's going to be, yeah, and you want that back piece to be nice and long so he doesn't have to sit right up next to you. You're riding back
riding
with him,
with
he
me.
said.
Hey, we've run many places together.
Nuts to butts.
Don't be afraid of your sexuality, Pat.
I'm not afraid of my sexuality. I'm just very certain where it lies.
Well,
And it's not with you.
don't we have a picture of you and RJ?
RJ's kind of a woman, though. We've already talked about that. What's he? Oh, when he says color. Collar.
Caller.
He's RJ's from
Collar.
West Virginia. I was a collar.
I like the collar on your shirt.
I like the collar on your shirt.
Okay, look at that, man. We're getting there. We get a little more welding going on there.
All
I like
right.
that.
All right, how close are we, Xavier?
We're not.
We're not?
Okay, so we got our gauges, got our seat
Seat
pan
pan.
in a good place.
Looks like he's got the whole thing tacked up there. We'll let you guys take a look at this. Xavier, show him what you finished there.
These things are hot. So, basically, all of that, and all of that, and all of this, and all of that. So it's little by little by little, but, you know.
You know, you're
I
just
like
putting...
tattoos. Good tattoos aren't cheap, and cheap tattoos aren't good. So, you know, if you want it done right, take your time, do it the first time. But prep is everything, my friend.
Yep.
Prep is everything. So,
What's good now is we can, now that our structural welding is done, we're going to come back in here with silica bronze and just lay it into those valleys, man, and fill that up real nice, grind it back out slowly, take our time, and we'll end up with a real nice finished piece that's molded and looks like it's Frenched in. It'll give this tank some real nice character. So next time we come back with you guys, we're going to put the pin welder up here, and we're going to pull this gas cap relocation plate that we put in. We're going to pull that up a little bit and radius that off so you can't tell that that's what we did. And show you some stuff with the weld table. So come back and see us in a little bit.
Grease and Gears Garage, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And if you have any questions about what we've done, we're available all day in the building. Also, you can go back and check out our Facebook feeds on motorcycleshows.com, cyclesource.com, and jmpcycles.com. It's all there, the whole history of all the builds, all the segments that we're doing right here on the Progressive Motorcycle stage. Jackie, who we got coming up next?
Well, coming up next on that main stage in just a